There we are.
And I hear you.
Got the unmute. Smashing. I'm happy for any comments. You'll just have to relay them for me, Dane, because I
Okay.
have got a phone in front of me, so I might be able to keep up with some of the chat. Thank you for having me again. I've been
You're
roped in
welcome.
again this weekend. It's always very late here in England for a demonstration, but we'll do what we can. Most of you guys know me. I am what I would class as a simple turner. It's very rare that I use colours and that kind of thing. Because I make a living from turning, the items that I turn, I work on the assumption. I make what I sell what I make. If it doesn't sell, I don't make it. If it sells, I make lots of it. So a lot of my stuff, some people would say you're a production turner. I'm not really a production turner, because a production turner people bring to you and you make what they want you to make. I tend to do my own design. I put it to market, see what happens. If it doesn't sell, I never make it again. And if it does sell well, then I put lots out. Normally very, very simple things. One of my best sellers is the cartridge keyrings. This time of year, it goes absolutely mad because it is shooting season. So I have actually spent more time in my lathe this week than what I've done probably in the last 2 months, just doing cartridge keyrings. And you reach a point where you think, oh my God, is there any more that you need to do? Last week, I give you a show that I'd done a demo, and I made one of the table decorations of the lady that holds the napkins. A couple of you have been in touch with me asking me sizes, dimensions, how did I do this, how did I do that? So when Dane asked me earlier on, would I do a demo this week, I thought this will make a decent demo for you. The reason I think it'll make a decent demo is because you've got various component parts, and when you're turning various component parts, the component parts need to go together correctly, and they need to be straight. So hopefully I won't bore the life out of too many of you, but we will turn one of them this evening. It should take me normally about 15 minutes to complete. When I did one earlier today, it took me nearly 40. But it's always more difficult turning just one because you're not prepared. And I also want to show you a couple of different ways that I would mount things on my lathe. First thing we'll do is we will go through the timber. Whenever I approach my lathe, I know what I'm going to make. So all of my blanks are pre-cut. If I am designing something, I scribble on a bit of paper what sizes I've used. Then if it's not right, I can break the sizes down and reduce them where necessary. So for this particular item, we need 4 lots of different size timber. This one, and I've done it all in millimeters because for some daft reason, I thought that you guys were in millimeters, but you're not. You're the same as I am, and that's pretty much in inches. So in inches, this piece is 2 by 2 by 2. It's pretty much a cube. It looks a little bit longer because I've missed it on the saw, and it doesn't matter to me that much. So this particular one is 2 by 2 by 2. This one is 5 inches long and roughly 2 inches square again. This one is only 3/4 of an inch thick, and it's 3 inches square. And this one is the base one. It is also 3 inches square and is 1 3/4 inches thick. You can make this 2 inch thick if it's easier for you. I would not drop it down to inch. It wants to be at least 1 3/4 inches. So we'll start at the bottom of the actual piece, which is this piece. Now, if you've got a drill press, you can drill a hole Let me just alter my camera so that I can see what you're seeing. Otherwise, I'll be holding bits of wood up and they won't be in front of the camera.
Oh, you look good.
If I can find myself
fine.
Right. On this particular piece, if you've got a drill press, you can drill a hole in the middle of the piece. The reason I haven't done that is because lots of people don't have drill presses and you would use a hand drill. It is vitally important that this is dead straight. So with a drill press, you know that you're going to get in dead straight. If you haven't got a drill press, don't try and do it with a hand drill, because what you will find is that the piece itself will end up sitting like this. That hole at that bottom needs to be dead straight so that when you put that cane in, it sits directly upright. So because I haven't drill pressed it, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop it up, just pop it up against my chuck jaws. If I had used a drill press and I had drilled a hole in, I could have used the normal traditional screw chuck and just popped that into the hole and put that into the chuck, which is obviously the way you guys might do it. For me, because I'm in my lathe room, I haven't pre-drilled it. So I'm going to open my jaws on my chuck and I'm just going to pop it in and bring up my tailstock somewhere near the middle. And I'm only saying somewhere near the middle because I want to get the best out of the blank. So I'm not going to ram the tailstock into it. I'm just going to give it a little bit of pressure. And then I'm going to put my pencil on the outside edge. And I'm going to turn around and you can see that this pencil mark is a long way off this side. So I know that by releasing and coming just across a little bit, I can now bring my tailstock up and I should be pretty much central on that blank. So I've now got the best out. I've now got the best out of that blank, and I'm going to tighten my tailstock up. Again, am I on the camera for me, or am I on the camera on the lathe now?
Yeah, I'm gonna remove your cell phone one and put it strictly for the lathe. So we're just on the lathe now.
You're just on the lathe camera now.
Yeah.
I should be able to see what I'm doing now.
Yeah, because I guess the folks that are on their cell phones, they can only see the cell phone. So
I'll just do that again then. All as I've done is I have just brought the tailstock up and I've just put a pencil on the edge and I've turned it so that I hit all four sides. That now tells me I'm in the center of that blank. And I've now got the best out of the piece of wood. What I now want to create is a chucking point. I'm going to make sure the speed's down on the lathe and I'm going to put my glasses on. I always wear glasses. Now, if you guys wear face shields, not a problem at all. I always wear my glasses. When you're turning between centers, you've got less risk of it coming off the lathe. I do have a risk of it coming away from here if I start working this outside edge. I will only be working this, which will be putting the pressure forward. So we will start the lathe up. And all I want to do is create a chucking point. So I haven't used a lot of pressure. All I've done there is just created a chucking point on the back. And I'm now going to reverse it and pop it into that chuck. We know the best of the blank is being used because we lined it up and squared it up first. Okay. Well, now I can start and look to drill the centre hole. Now, when you're drilling, try and keep your lathe down to a slow speed. And we're just going to pop a hole in the centre there. And we now know that that centre hole is very straight in that blank, because it can't not be. Pop that down there, out of my way. Remove that. Put that back on its shelf.
Martin, what size hole did you drill and how deep did you drill it?
Right, the hole that I've drilled, depth-wise, is about 1 inch. And the hole that I've drilled in is 9mm, and the reason it's 9mm is because I bought the cane from the DIY shop at 9mm. So whatever cane you're going to be using, make sure that that it's the right size for that. As it happens, my screw chuck, if I used my screw chuck, also is 9mm. So that's what I was saying. You can pre-drill this hole and then fasten it on the other way, but for me, it's easier to turn it. So now what I'm going to do is we've got we've got our chuck size. I want to know how big my chuck is, and I want to mark it roughly where it is. So I've just marked where my chuck is at the top there. I'm going to bring up my tailstock for support, because there's no reason not to have your tailstock on as support when you're turning, until you want to turn this off. So we'll get the speed up a little bit now. Okay. What I've done here is I've turned it down to nearly my chucking point. And the reason I'm turning it down to my chucking point is because when I reverse it, it'll give me somewhere to get a hold of the top. I always work on how I'm going to hold it next time round. So we'll go in. And there's my chucking point created at the top. And now I can start shaping the base. So on your base, you can pretty much do whatever shape you want. The one that I've just turned is this one. But you can also see that sometimes I'll put a different base on them. You can design whatever base you want. What you're looking for is this 3-inch. I find that the 3-inch stands up a lot better. Okay, now we're going to look to turn out this centerpiece. And we're just going to use, when I first started doing these, I used to take a huge amount out of these bases. There is no need. It is just for a napkin to sit in. So all we want to create is a groove. We just want to create a groove for the napkin to sit in. There's no need to go much further than that. We will tidy that off at the front. Okay, at that point, the whole thing would get sanded. If you're going to sand it, the way I finish everything is I would put a sand and sealer on there now. I would not sand it prior to a sand and sealer. I would put sand and sealer on there, let it dry, and then sand it off. The reason for me doing that is I get a decent finish off my tool. So I cut out one of the sanding processes. Chuck key. And all I'm going to do is I'm just going to turn that around now and drop it into the jaws on that chucking point at the top. And finish the bottom as you would. All I've done is put a bit of a concave in here to make sure that it sits flat on the bench. I have, as you can see, probably little bit controversial, but I have left a chucking point on the base of these. The reason I have left a chucking point on is because I guarantee everything when I sell it. It'll also allow me to turn it back round, turn it off, clean it off, polish it off, add my finish to it. But because I guarantee everything when I sell it, if somebody did happen to break this, I can replace it very easily. You know, if they break a chunk off the side of it or something like that, I might be able to fix it back up. But that's up to them. For me, I like to try and leave somewhere to get a hold of it. So that piece now is complete. It would just get sanded and finished. I tend to lacquer everything. So sand and sealer and then a lacquer. And now we're going to move on. We'll move on to the second piece now. This is the 75mm square. There's two ways that this can be done. The easiest way that I've found, and the safest way, you could make bandsaw cuts in this while it's square. What I've found is if you bandsaw cut this when it's square, it leaves little tiny pieces that can be snapped off while you're turning them. So I didn't have very much of a success rate with this. So I prefer to do it the way I'm going to show you. Again, we need a hole in this, and we need a hole all the way through it. And that hole that you're going to put in there needs to be straight and square. So what we're going to do is we are going to do exactly the same as I did earlier on. Just bring light tailstock up, get my pencil, which brings me to this pencil actually. If you all want to spend some money, buy one of these. It clips onto your belt and you never lose your pencil. They are brilliant. Okay, we're off on that. Now we can bring a bit more pressure in because I know that we will be somewhere near on there, on there. We've almost got the right size. We could just come across just a touch. Is that somebody with a question, or is that just noise in the background?
Oh, it's my noise in the background. Apologies.
That's all right.
Run in and grab some peanuts.
Same again. We're just going to create a chucking point. Once we've got our chucking point created, we can turn it around and get it into the chuck. That's it, we're now central. And we're back to drilling exactly the same as we did with the base. Is everybody still awake, Dane?
Everybody's doing good except for the normal sleepers.
So hole straight through the middle of this one. And again, you could pre-drill that. If you want to drill it, if you've got your pillar drill, pre-drill it, and you'll save yourself a little bit of time. You could put it onto your screw chuck. Okay. With this one, same again, what we're going to do is we're going to create a chucking point where your chuck is. I think that's about there. And a flat. So we're just going to put a little curve in there. Come on, Leah, catch up. And reverse it. Right, the chucking point on this side, I am going to leave, but I'm going to tidy up a little bit. So your top part now, you've created a chucking point on both sides, so you can mount it back in the lathe whichever way you want. If you are correct on size with these two, it gives you a line to feed to. So I have found, I will be totally honest here with you, I have found that if I take a ruler and I start marking lines with my ruler exactly where I want them, so where's my little ruler? There's my little ruler. So I go here, across the middle, here, and then across the middle again, for example. And I mark out each section very, very carefully. I can then take it to my bandsaw and I can bandsaw down the lines, stopping at the chucking point. And it means that you've got a stopping point to work to. Now, if you take your ruler and you measure it out very, very carefully, you will find that as you're cutting with a bandsaw, you will start to think, well, that gap's a bit bigger than that gap. So I no longer measure or mark it. I literally just draw some lines on it. And you can see on this one, I was very, very careful with measuring and marking it, and I still missed my lines. So there is no rocket science. There's two of them done here. They're both different. So just mark them out. Don't put too many in. Don't try to put 12 napkins in. Go for 6, go for 8, go for 10. But if you start putting too many lines in, you'll find that you get lost. And also around here becomes a weak point. You'll end up snapping these off. So if you go across and then across again, then just try and put a line in between each section. It'll work out a bit easier for you. Obviously, I'm not going to run off to my bandsaw with this. I'm just going to use this one for the project.
Call it a Blue Peter, Martin.
That's right. Otherwise, I'd be disappearing for 5 minutes to get to my bandsaw. So we will get rid of the chuck. And we will now go for the main body. So it's dropped between centres. Oops, that's me ruler in the shavings. And what we're going to do is we are going to try and get exactly, again, the best out of this blank. So I'll just bring my tailstock up. I'll bring my tool rest in, drop my tool rest down. Because I haven't marked centres, I am just going to have a quick check on the edges just to see where we are. And that's really not far off. So we're there or thereabouts at both ends. And now I can lock it into place and make sure everything's secure. Okay, what we're looking for on this is we are looking for a lady type shape. So you decide which end is which. The bottom needs to be less than our chucking point. So this end, if this is the bottom end, it needs to be less than the chucking point, because if it's too big, it sits outside of this chucking point and it looks ridiculous. So rough and gouge. Where have I put it? Over here. And we can start creating a shape. We'll let the lathe get up to speed. We know we have a head. Okay, I just want to say a little bit. I'm just quickly going to mention the roughing gouge. The roughing gouge, lots of people think it is just to take the corners off a piece of timber, then we change onto whatever gouge you want. This is a spindle roughing gouge. For me, it's to rough out the shape. So as you can see, I have literally created what I want to follow there. The same as an artist would take a sketch with his pencil. He would sketch a picture, and then he would start adding detail. He would not change one pencil for another pencil and back to another pencil. He would just sketch and then start adding texture or color. What we're going to do now, we've roughed it out. I can see what shape I'm trying to create. We know that we need a head and a neck. Created.
Look at that.
So there is nothing complicated about creating that shape. The only difference is with this shape is this flowing part and making sure that this is small enough to fit the chucking point that you've created on this end. So just make sure that you get it down as far as you can to get underneath that chucking point. Otherwise, if it's too big, it will look odd. You can make it exactly the same size, and you could glue this onto the bottom if you wanted to do that. I don't. What I normally do is I pre-drill this. For the demonstration purposes, there was no point in showing you how I would have put the square blank into the chuck and pre-drilled it, or pre-drilled it using my drill press. So ultimately, I've got a center there. I can now just drill a hole in the bottom of here on my drill press. You can do it whichever way you prefer. The other option would have been for me to have even bored you even further, but put the square blank into the chuck first and just drilled the hole in. Now, unfortunately, I am going to have to bore you a little bit because we need to create a slice on the top of the head, because I find that by sitting the hats at an angle, it makes a completely different lady than sitting them directly on the head. One of the things that I did say at a demonstration was you could do snowmen, and a lot of people do snowmen with the hats flat on their head. But if you angle the hat on the top of the snowman's head, it makes a very different snowman. But certainly these would be very popular Christmas time as snowmen, I would think, for the center of the tables.
Yep, tilted hat adds a lot of character.
Yeah, so for me, I always angle the hat. Now, if you've got a bandsaw that you're normally pushing 2-inch timbers through and it has great big teeth, do not try and take something like this to your bandsaw and put it on your bandsaw, because what will happen is it will instantly flip or it'll twist, and you will end up in a mess. So don't ever put anything like this up against your bandsaw. I have a very different bandsaw. I have a very, very thin blade on my bandsaw, because most of the stuff that goes through my bandsaw is stuff like this, where I can just take a slice off the head. The safest way for me to do it, and the better way for me to do it tonight, to show you, is to use my sanding pad just an old block of timber with a groove cut out of it. The reason it's got a groove cut out of it is so that it can fit both lots of jaws that I have. Bit of Velcro and a sanding pad. And it now just means that I can fit that to whatever jaws I've got. If I can't get it on the inside, I can get it on the outside, because you're not putting a lot of pressure on it. So even though your jaws are quite wide on this particular one, I've got the small jaws on.
Martin, do you have foam or Martin, is that all wood, or do you have foam between the sandpaper and the...
all wood.
Thank you.
It's all wood, and this is just a Velcro pad. No, there's no foam or anything in there. It is purely so that I can put on as much as I want. Now, if you're going to sand like this, you're better off turning your lathe down, because you will burn this wood. As it happens, the adjuster on my lathe decided to fall out a little bit today, and I fell out with it. And I'm just going to literally keep moving it so that it doesn't burn. And I have got about an 80 grit sandpaper on there.
Turning her into a flathead.
And you need to sand it off. You need to sand it off so that there's no flat at the front of the head. And that is really the only imperfection that fits on it. I haven't put mine on because it just makes so much noise. And during the day, I actually have my door open. But on here, you just don't want a flat on the top. Right, we can get rid of that because we don't need to do any more of that. We do need to now work on the hat. Now, the hat can be done in many different ways. I often just do the hat between centres, because I can get quite close and I can sand a bit of a flat on the base and the top. So I think we'll go between centres because it'll be easier to understand. Just pop that aside. Get that out of the way. Where have I just put that centre? There it is. Are they all still awake, Dane?
Yeah, they're all doing good except for the normal sleepers.
Oh, that's all right. I
Really
don't
good
mind a
demo
few.
so far.
I don't mind a few.
Everybody is enthralled.
Is that Brenda keeping up?
Oh my God, she's right. She's got her pencil going. She doesn't realize it's being recorded.
Okay, again, all as I've done is I've just dropped that between centres. I'm just having a look to see how far out I am when I've put it on the lathe, and I'm really not that far out, so we're going to go with that. Now then, the hat. The hat is fairly easy. We'll have a bit of speed up. Okay, you will have noticed that what I did is I've gone in here just to flatten this end. I don't want a concave in this end, and the reason I don't want a concave is because we've got a flap on the top of the head that we've created. So this wants to be flat so that you've got plenty of surface area for your glue. Don't follow the old rule of thumb of creating a concave so that it sits on the timber. Try and keep it as flat as you possibly can. We're coming round the corner. Don't make this bead too thin. If you make this bead too thin and your customer knocks it over, this is going to break. So for all delicate is nice, we just need to leave a bit of weight in that hat, because if it is too thick, if it's too thin, it will break off. So we're just going to decide where we are with that, and I will put a little bit of a slope in. This is a bit too big down. I'm not sure whether the volume on my camera would pick that up. But what you will have heard, or what I certainly heard, was my lathe tone change. As I got thinner and thinner and thinner, the lathe tone changes, and that tells me to start slowing down or stopping, because obviously this is going to part off. So all I'm going to do now is, while I've still got a hold of it here, I can sand that up. No, you probably didn't, Billy. What I would suggest to any of you, you will notice when I'm going in here, I am making sure that I'm getting rid of all of the waste. I don't want any waste, because that's where you will create a catch. So get rid of your waste and then work on your item. And as I come in here with a skew, I am getting lower and lower, and the lathe tone changes. So I urge you to go in your workshop, take a spindle, put it between centers, work down it, and listen for your lathe tone to change, and it will tell you you've gone far enough. Much more, and you're going to break it off. So I can undo that now, and I can take that away, and there she goes. And that just now leaves me a tiny little flat that I can just sand on my sander. Because I created a flat on the bottom of this, I've now got enough coverage to be able to glue the hat onto the head.
Nice.
So I don't need to peg it. To put a peg in here and to put a peg in here is very, very difficult. But I have got enough surface area on the two items to be able to put a good contact to glue and stick the glue together. And that is exactly what we've done on this one. It is just a matter of a little glue, dab of glue on the top, rub the two joints together, and you can see where I've flattened it off on the top of the hat there. I'll take this one apart. I never glue anything together. I never finish anything until I'm ready to finish it, and I know that the item looks correct. Although this one's very tight.
All that moisture.
That is exactly what's stopping that now. There's no glue on there. But that is what will what will have done that, the moisture in the workshop will have swelled this piece of spindle dowel that goes through the middle. So that one won't come off, but we'll have a go with this one. Yeah, that one's a bit easier. I make two different sizes. I'll give you a measurement on these, but honestly, depending on how far you've drilled into the base and how far you've drilled into the top will determine the length of your dowels. But to give you an idea, that is 9" on that one and 6" on this one. So I wouldn't cut these until you start putting it all together, because when you put it together, you will know how far the dowel actually fits into the base and how far the dowel actually fits into the top. And that then will be able to determine your thread sizes or your spindle sizes. Has anybody got any questions? Or is everybody?
No, everybody's enthralled. You've been covering everything very well.
I got a question.
Go on.
What's the distance between the base and the top of the?
Right. That depends basically on what napkins you buy.
Okay.
The ones here in the UK where you get a normal packet of napkins, these I would think are about
5.5.
Yeah, these are just over 6". They're 160 millimeters. And basically the reason why I do the two sizes is because this one I only fold once in half, and then it sits from top to bottom on the larger one. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
With these ones, I have slightly wider holes where I've cut them out on the bandsaw. And what you do is you take the same paper napkin, but you fold it twice. So that's your half napkin for that one. Let me just lift that camera up a touch. That is your half napkin for that one. Fold it over in again, and that now is the 4-fold napkin that will go into that one.
Oh,
Oops.
cool.
So that's why I do the two different sizes. But you should get a standard napkin. You'll find over there, I would think, will be a standard size. You get them often in different plies. You get 2-ply or 3-ply.
Yeah. So it really don't matter how far above the middle thing that the napkin is sticking up.
Well, as a lady, you should know that this is kind of your waist.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say that that's where your skirt wants to start.
Okay.
I don't wear skirts very often, but if I was wearing a skirt, it would start there.
Gotcha.
Martin's not Scottish.
Hey, Martin, it's Doug Rowe over here. Did you need me to chime in and help you with the whole skirt thing, or are you good?
Yeah, I saw you lurking back here, Doug.
Yeah. We'll bring you one at the level up.
Yeah, super job.
You know what,
Well,
Martin, you know what? I see so many young couples starting out and they're going shopping, and I could see that just flying right off the shelf.
These always sold really well, and like I said, it was.
I could see.
What I did is I saw the design originally. The original design of this I saw at a market, but it was an umbrella. And what they've done is they've turned just the umbrella handle part and put that on the top of the cane. So there was a base, a cane, and an umbrella top. And then the napkins kind of created the umbrella. And I really liked it. I thought, I like that idea. And I come away and I created the ladies because I felt that the ladies might just sell better than the brollies, and again, it's something different to the market. So that's why I created the ladies. I always say you get inspiration from other people, and I've already said, you know, snowmen I think would sell really well at Christmas time on them
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. But this idea you have right now, I'm sure you're having a good time.
I would imagine pumpkins, you know, certainly for Halloween and that sort of thing, for, you know, for just people in general. If you can come up with an idea, the design is exactly the same.
Yeah. You do angels.
You could do angels, you could do carol singers, you could do whatever you wanted to do. All as I tried to do is inspire you to go into your workshops.
Which?
Right.
Witches.
It's gonna look good next to my salt shakers.
Yeah.
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 It's unlimited.
Well, hopefully it's inspired a few of you.
I'm sure it has. I
idea.
know it's reinvigorated me on it again.